police forced their way into the quiet home. They were met with a sight that broke even hardened veterans. It was not just a key thing. It was a horrifying, meticulous tableau. Hanging from a meat hook, suspended from the door frame of the lounge room, was the freshly flayed skin of a man. This is the unspeakable crime of Katherine Knight, the first and only woman in Australia's history to be sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. In this video, we will trace the dark path of her life, from a deeply dysfunctional and violent childhood to the final, shocking act of murder and ritualistic defilement that stunned a nation and defied description. We will uncover the pattern of escalating violence that led to the death of John Price. John Charles Thomas Price was a terrific bloke, liked by everyone who knew him. He was a father of 3, a man earning a good living in the local mines. But on March 1st, 2000, his world and his life ended in the most grotesque way imaginable. The small, quiet town of Aberdeen, New South Wales, would never again know peace. Katherine Knight was born into a fractured world. Her environment was unconventional and deeply dysfunctional. Her mother had left her first husband for Kenneth Knight. Kenneth was an alcoholic, a man described as violent. What kind of psychological toll does that environment take on a child? Her mother shared inappropriate, disturbing intimate details of her life with her daughters. She expressed a potent hatred for men and for itself. Knight herself alleged frequent ass by several members of her family. These ass were said to continue until she was 11 years old. Psychiatrists would later accept these allegations as largely confirmed by other family members. She was a troubled student. Knight was a loner at Muswellbrook High School. She quickly gained a reputation as a bully. She stood over smaller pupils. She once as a boy with a weapon at school. Yet, in stark contrast, when not consumed by rage, she was a model student. She often earned awards for her good behavior. Knight left school at the age of 15. She had not learned to read or write. She took a job initially as a cutter in a clothing factory. Then came what she called her dream job. She began work at the local abattoir. She started cutting up offal. She quickly advanced to boning. She received her own set of butcher's knives. She kept these knives hung over her bed at home. This was a practice she maintained until her incarceration. They would always be handy if needed, she claimed. This obsession with sharp implements was an early, potent warning sign. Residents of Aberdeen later recalled Knight for her chilling tendency. She would physically threaten anyone who angered her. Her first marriage, to co-worker David Stanford Kellett, was immediately steeped in violence. Her mother even warned Kellett before the service. Barbara cautioned him that upsetting Knight or cheating on her could lead to serious consequences. Her volatile behavior was already known. On their wedding night, Knight attempted to strangle Kellett. Her reason: he had fallen asleep after they had only 3 times. The marriage quickly proved particularly violent. While heavily pregnant, she once burned all of Kellett's clothing and shoes. She then hit him across the back of the head with a frying pan. His crime? Arriving home late from a darts competition after reaching the finals. Kellett fled in fear for his life. He collapsed at a neighbor's house. He was treated for a severely fractured skull. Knight's impulsiveness was unrestrained. Shortly after their first child, Melissa, was born, Kellett left her. The next day, Knight was seen violently throwing the newborn baby's pram from side to side down the main street. After she was released from a psychiatric hospital, she committed an act of unimaginable cruelty. Knight placed 2-month-old Melissa on a railway line. A train was due shortly. A homeless man foraging nearby found and rescued the baby. Only minutes before the train passed. A few days later, she slashed a woman's face with one of her knives. She demanded the woman drive her to find Kellett. When police cornered her, she took a young boy hostage. She was disarmed only when police attacked her with brooms. David Saunders, a minor, was her next serious partner. She grew instantly jealous of his time away from her. In May 1987, she performed an act of cold, calculated terror. She cut the throat of Saunders' 2-month-old dingo pup in front of him. Her reason? It was an example of what would happen if he ever had an affair. She went on to knock him unconscious with a frying pan. After another argument, she hit him in the face with an iron. She stabbed him in the abdomen with a pair of scissors. Saunders went into hiding. When he returned months later, he found she had obtained an apprehended violence order against him. The accusation was unjust, but effective. Then came John Price. Price was aware of Knight's violent reputation when she moved into his house in 1995. But his children liked her, and he was making good money. At first, life was a bunch of roses. It was claimed. That did not last. In 1998, they fought over his refusal to marry her. In a calculated act of retaliation, she videotaped items he had scavenged from the company rubbish tip. She sent the tape to his boss. Price was fired from the job he had held for 17 years. The fighting became even more frequent. In February 2000, a series of relentless assaults on Price culminated in Knight stabbing him in the chest. He kicked her out. Price knew this was not the end. On February 28th, he stopped at the magistrate's court and took out a restraining order. That afternoon, he told his co-workers something chilling. He said if he did not come to work the next day, it would be because Knight had murdered him. Despite their pleas for him to stay away, he returned home. He stated he was afraid Knight would kill his children if he did not. Price arrived home to find that Knight, though not there, had sent the children away for a sleepover. He spent the evening with his neighbors. He went to bed at 11 p.m. Knight had purchased new black lingerie earlier that day. She had videotaped all her children, making comments that were later interpreted as a crude, makeshift will. She arrived at the house and sat watching television for a few minutes. She took a shower. She woke Price, and they had He then fell asleep. At 6 a.m. the next day, the began. While John Price was sleeping, Katherine Knight used a butcher's knife. She stabbed him. The evidence appeared to show that he awoke and tried desperately to turn on the light. He attempted to escape while Knight chased him through the house. He managed to open the front door and get outside, but he either stumbled or was dragged back into the hallway. It was there he finally died, bleeding out from his severe injuries. Price was autopsied later. He had been stabbed a staggering 37 times. Wounds were found in both the front and back of his torso, many extended in the vital organs. The police investigation began after a neighbor and co-worker noticed on the front door. Breaking down the back door, police found Price's body. They found Knight comatose, having taken a large number of pills. But the scene's focus quickly shifted. Several hours after Price had died, Knight began a new, chilling phase of the crime. She skinned John Price. This flayed skin she hung from a meat hook on the door architrave of the lounge room. She then decapitated his body. The horror was not yet complete. She cooked parts of the body. The flesh was served up with baked potato, carrot, and gravy. She set to places at the dinner table. Each setting had a note. Each note bore the name of one of Price's 2 children. This was preparation. She intended to serve his remains to his own children as a meal. Price's head was found in a pot with vegetables. The pot was still warm. The temperature indicated the cooking had taken place in the early morning. The police found a third prepared meal. It had been thrown on the back lawn. It is speculated that Knight had attempted to eat it herself but could not. This detail was offered in support of her claim that she has no memory of the crime. Knight had arranged the body. His left arm was dragged over an empty soft drink bottle. His legs were crossed. This was claimed in court to be an act of defilement. It demonstrated Knight's utter contempt for Price. She had left a handwritten note on top of a photograph of Price. The note was stained and covered with small pieces of flesh. It made groundless accusations against the victim. Knight's initial offer to plead guilty to manslaughter was immediately rejected. She was charged with murder, When the trial commenced, Justice Barry O'Keefe offered the prospective jurors the option of being excused. Why? Due to the graphic nature of the photographic evidence. 5 people accepted. On the second day, Knight changed her plea. She pleaded guilty. Her legal team had planned to defend her by claiming amnesia and dissociation. Yet, the psychiatrist had already concluded that Knight suffered only from borderline personality disorder. They considered her sane. No satisfactory explanation has ever been provided for that guilty plea. Even after pleading guilty, Knight continued to deny full responsibility for her actions. During the sentencing hearing, when a witness testified about the skinning and decapitation, Knight became hysterical. She had to be sedated. On November 8, 2001, Justice O'Keefe delivered the sentence. He emphasized the extreme severity of the crime. He noted Knight's profound lack of remorse. This warranted the harshest penalty possible. He sentenced her to life imprisonment without setting a non-parole period. He mandated that her papers be labeled definitely never to be released. This decision marked a historic first for a woman. In Australian legal history, in June 2006, Knight attempted to appeal her life sentence. She argued that the penalty was too severe for the crime. The appeal was summarily dismissed in September. Justice Peter McClellan stated simply that the crime was appalling. It was an act nearly unimaginable in a civilized society. Katherine Knight made history, not for any achievement, but for a depth of depravity almost unimaginable. Her case remains a dark confrontation. It forced Australia to confront a type of shocking, visceral evil previously unseen from a female perpetrator. She remains incarcerated. The chilling reality is that some acts are so monstrous, so far beyond the scope of human understanding, that they warrant absolute and permanent removal from society. The terror of her life, and the manner of John Price's D.H. lingers as a permanent, dark stain. How do we fully comprehend a mind capable of such horror?